This video is going to be my final wrap up of comparing a hardtail mountain bike to a gravel bike. Now, I've been using a hardtail, but you can easily use a full suspension cross-country bike, and it's going to pretty much be the same as a hardtail, just a little bit different weight if you can lock out the suspension. So the bikes that I've been using in this project are a Niner Air 9 RDO. This is a pretty high-end, really light, fast, fun hardtail. And then a Niner RLT 9 RDO, which is a full-on gravel bike. So there are a few points that I want to make in this video that I've learned in this project. First of all, a hardtail makes a better gravel bike than a gravel bike makes for a mountain bike. A lot of people may make the mistake of thinking they can use a gravel bike as a mountain bike on trails and such. Even though you can ride it on trails, they've got to be pretty mellow and tame trails. Anything worthy of a fun or steep or technical mountain bike trail, you're either going to have to go so slow on the gravel bike or it's just not going to be rideable. So a hardtail is extremely versatile, and to me that's the benefit of a hardtail. So hardtails are the kind of bike that you can just ride anywhere. You can ride it to the coffee shop, you can commute on it, you can take it out on single track, you can race it, you can take it on gravel roads. A hardtail mountain bike, or full suspension mountain bike for that matter, is going to make a more versatile bike than a gravel bike. Gravel bikes are a little bit more specific. The other point that I want to make is just because a gravel bike is a more specific machine for riding gravel roads, don't think that it's the best bike for all gravel roads. If you ride logging roads or Jeep roads or really rough gravel roads, you may be better off on a mountain bike. In fact, one of the subscribers on my channel left a comment that he had ridden a cyclocross bike on a long ride. The bike had 33C tires, and he had lasting pain in his hands after that ride. So that's obviously a ride that probably would have been better on a mountain bike. So if I lived in a more mountainous region, I would probably use a hardtail if I had to narrow it down for one bike. Because of the fact it's more versatile, it just opens up more options. I can ride gravel roads, and if I see single track, I can jump on it. Like I said, the hardtail mountain bike is just going to be more versatile as an all-around bike. So through this project, I've identified 3 main limitations to using a mountain bike for gravel road riding, and those are the ones that I want to talk about now. The first one is gearing. Now, I made a separate video about gearing. I'll link it below, so I'm not going to go too much into this. In that video, I said that there are 2 issues with gearing. One is your topping out. In other words, your top end speed is more limited with a mountain bike. And the other issue with gearing is the fact that you typically, if you have a one-by system, have more jump between gears. Now, that's not as much of an issue if you have a 2x system, and that's why in that video I recommended that if you're really wanting to use a mountain bike for gravel road riding and you're going to do a lot of it, I would try to find a bike with a 2x system instead of a 1x. Now, as far as the topping out issue, most mountain bike groups, whether it's a 1 or 2x, the biggest front chainring you're probably going to be able to get is a 38. And so that's pretty fast. You can go pretty fast, but if you're riding in fast group rides and you're riding in mountains where you're wanting to push it on a downhill, you're going to spin out that 38, so that's a consideration that you need to make. So like I said, if you want to get more into the topic of gearing, go ahead and watch that video that I linked below. The other issue is tires. A hardtail mountain bike or full suspension mountain bike with normal mountain bike tires is just simply going to be slower. You're limited in your speed, and whether that's an issue for you or not, it's going to depend on your goals. If you're wanting to ride with a group and your skills are about equal and they're on gravel bikes or cyclocross bikes, you're going to push more to keep up with a mountain bike tire. Now, the good thing about this is that's pretty easily remedied in the fact that you can fit larger gravel tires, 40C gravel tires, Maxxis Ramblers, Schwalbe G1s, or the Gravel Kings. So you can put those on a 29er mountain bike wheel. I've seen guys at cyclocross races using mountain bike rims with cyclocross tires. So that's really just as simple as swapping out the tires if you don't have really wide rims. Now, if you have a wider mountain bike rim, it's not typically going to be on a cross-country bike, but if you do, you may not be able to do that. Something else that you could do for tires is just to get a narrower mountain bike tire, like a 2.0, with a little bit less tread, so less rolling resistance, and that'll also make you faster on gravel roads. Now, if you're really wanting one bike and you're serious about gravel road riding and serious about riding trails, you're probably better off getting 2 wheel sets so you're not swapping tires all the time, because that gets to be a pain. The third limitation with using a mountain bike for gravel road riding is hand position. Now there's really only one way to remedy that, and that is just to simply put bar ends on your mountain bike. For long gravel rides, nothing replaces a drop bar. And when I say drop bar, I simply mean the curved style handlebars that come on road bikes, cyclocross bikes, gravel bikes. So those types of bars have 2 benefits. One is the multiple hand positions that you can have. You know, the hoods, the drops, getting on the top. It's just more comfortable because you can move your hands around. The other benefit, which is really important for gravel road riding, is the aerodynamics. So the faster that you go, the more aerodynamics play into the equation. So whether you're riding on the hoods or the drops on those style handlebars, you're going to be in a more aerodynamic position. Now, I did a time trial uphill, which is pretty short, it's only about 2 minutes long, using both of these bikes, and the times were very similar. These bikes are not too far apart in terms of weight. They're really similar. And on that hill, obviously, aerodynamics was not an issue. I was only going maybe 12 to 14 miles an hour. It's when you're on faster roads, when you're going 20 to 25 miles an hour and you're pedaling hard, you're just simply faster on a gravel bike with those drop bars. Now, one option that you could do, it's not very common, but I've seen it done and they're pretty cool bikes, is you make a monster cross bike. What is a monster cross bike? It's simply a mountain bike with drop bars on it. Now, if you do that, you have to use road shifters, whether it's Shimano Ultegra or SRAM Force or Rival. But you can use the hydraulic brakes, you can use the same derailleurs that you have on your mountain bike. And guys who do that, some of them will run just regular mountain bike tires, some will put skinnier tires. So to conclude this video and this whole project, speed is the major drawback when using a mountain bike for gravel road riding. Whether it's your hand position, the tires, or the gearing, all those things come into play to make a mountain bike, whether it's a hardtail or full suspension cross country, it's just going to be a little bit slower on gravel roads compared to a standard gravel bike. Now, whether that's a factor for you, it really depends. If you're just riding by yourself and you don't care about getting Strava segments or going as fast as you can, it's not a big deal, really. Riding in groups or racing, obviously it's a bigger deal. Now, I've seen a lot of guys use mountain bikes for gravel. I mean, fast guys, so it can be done. A lot of times these fast guys are generally faster and fitter than the group they're riding with, and they use it as training. I mentioned that in one of my other videos. So like I said, it's going to depend on your goals and what you're seeking out of this bike. Now, if I personally had to narrow it down to one bike for gravel and riding trails, it would be a mountain bike. It's just a lot more versatile, like I mentioned earlier in the video. Now, there are so many points, so many factors about this. I'm sure I didn't mention all of them. So if you have any that you want to make, or you have any questions, go ahead and drop those below. Thanks for watching.